Welcome to the semifinals of the Baltimore Open. I am Cedric Phillips, joined in the booth by Craig Krempels, and we are getting to watch Kellen Pastore with Mono White Humans versus Todd Anderson playing Blue-Red Control. The winner of this match will move on to the finals of our Baltimore Open, and the opportunity to be the champion and walk out of here with $5,000, 30 SCG points, and an invite to our Columbus Invitational next weekend. It should be a fun one to watch here between these two players, and for Pastore, he's the only player left playing humans. Everyone else got something else going on.
Yeah, and he's the only one who showed up in our top 8 with just white humans.
Yeah, just the straight mono white deck.
Just playing planes, one Westvale Abbey in there.
20 lands.
Yep. So he's dedicated to his strategy here. He's low to the ground, gets on the battlefield fast, and then just wants to clear out a few key blockers and finish the game.
But he's got the one card that no one else has had in all the human decks that we have watched this weekend. That's quite a few of them. Griff's Boon.
This is an interesting card. It gives the deck evasion and a little more reach, because if he loses the creature with the Griff's Boon early, he can replay it out of the graveyard later in the game.
I think this is kind of a nice addition. Oftentimes a lot of players will notice that flying is something that you can exploit in Constructed.
Yep.
There's just not a lot of flying blockers, not a lot of creatures with reach, all of that stuff. Griff's Boon is a way to be able to do that. It's cheap, and as you mentioned, if you start flooding out a little bit, boom, 4 mana, put this on something, keep flying over. I love this as an addition for these type of decks. It even gives you a point of power, too.
Yep.
There's a lot to like about this card. Maybe one that's gone overlooked a little bit coming into the weekend.
Well, we're here in week 1 of a new format. Everyone, like we've said all weekend, everyone's still figuring things out. Everyone's still kind of testing out cards. And this is a card that we might just see as a staple from now on in these super aggressive decks.
The other nice thing here for Pastore as well is that 2 next to Mono White Humans, as in the second overall seed, which means he's going to be playing first. That's obviously a really good spot to be in as well. So no die rolls necessary. He gets to go first with a hyper-aggressive deck, and we'll see if he can capitalize on that right now as players will look at their opening hands. They're waiting for the green light. It'll be given here in just a moment.
A little handshake, and away we go.
A Plains, a Kythian, and a passing of the turn. Over to Anderson. He's got a Wandering Fumarole, and he'll pass the turn back. Talking to Todd a little bit over the course of the weekend, he likes his deck quite a bit, though he did say he wished he had a little bit more spot removal.
Mm-hmm.
So something like a Fiery Impulse. Something that he wished he had a few more copies of. And in this matchup, yeah, I would want some of those.
Yeah, the way the metagame has shaken down, you don't want to be behind.
Well, Lightning Axe, discarding Fiery Temper is a good way to keep up.
Yes.
Get that Council's Lieutenant and that Kythian off the battlefield. There's a Thayu's Lieutenant, and all Kellen can do is just simply pass the turn back over to Anderson. An island here for Todd. This will be a thing on the ice. Pass the turn back over to Pastore. Pastore with a Town Gossiper and another Thayu's Lieutenant, so the creatures are large again.
That was quick.
Yes, it was. And now here's an attack. That's an attack for 4. Jeez. That's kind of insane.
Yeah, so the already in play Thayu's Lieutenant is going to get 2 counters from the new Thayu's Lieutenant, one from its own trigger and one from the new one's trigger. And that Town Gossipmonger, when it transforms, going to turn into a 3/4.
Well, let's see where Anderson's going to go now. He's going to start with an Anticipate, remove an ice counter. Thing of the ice down to 3 ice counters. Tormenting Voice and a couple of lands is what Todd's looking at here.
Yep. The Voice teams up very well with the Fiery Temper already in his hand.
Just one Anticipate in the list here for Todd this weekend. And there's a Mountain. And he'll just have to pass the turn back. Over to Pastore will go. Remember, he's got 20 lands in his deck, so the likelihood that he has all spells is pretty high.
Yes. And even if we see this thing in the ice flip, we can see Kellen Pastore get back onto the board so fast and get all of his bonuses from the lieutenants again. So it's not like getting the Awoken Horror onto the board is just a clear path for Todd to take over the game.
And now the Awoken Horror is gone, but hey, Todd gets a clue, so that's nice. But he is certainly in some trouble now, as there is a clue. And here come the beatdown. So we saw on the second turn of the game for Anderson, he played Lightning Axe and Fiery Temper to kill 2 creatures that he definitely need to kill, and now all of a sudden he is underneath a world of pressure. Anderson's going to sacrifice a clue, pick up a copy of Yavimaya Coast, and he needs some real help right now because he's at 5. He'll draw, picked up a Drownyard Temple.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that Todd had the best possible turn 2, clearing out 2 of his opponent's creatures, and he still looks like he's just going to get run over in this game.
Tormenting Voice, discard a Fiery Temper, kill Thalia's Lieutenant, draw 2 cards. 1 is a Shivan Reef, 2 is an island.
He needed to find a Lightning Axe there real bad.
Yes, he did, and he did not find one, so he'll be conceding this game as Kellen Pastore very quickly wins game number 1 here over Todd Anderson. Mono White Humans up a game here over Blue-Red Control. Both players going to go to the sideboard. We are going to do the exact same thing, and we'll see what kind of tools Todd has here in this matchup. You see the 4 Eldrazi Obligators, 4 Fevered Visions, 3 Negates, 2 Void Shatters, 1 Chandra Flamecaller, and 1 Kozilek Return. I think it's only the bottom 2, Craig.
Yeah, he can't make a lot of changes to his deck. What he's going against is so streamlined and so dedicated that messing around with some of these other cards isn't going to be a big benefit to him. So definitely the Chandra Flamecaller and the Kozilek's Return need to come in. Don't mess around with anything else.
On the other side here for Kellen Pastore, 3 Secure the Ways, 3 Guinean Ally Zendikar, a Stasis Snare, 2 Silk Wraps, 2 Feldar Cubs, along with the Lantern Scout, a Hollowed Moonlight, and 2 copies of Westvale Abbey. Do you think it needs to change much?
Well, I can tell you that the Silk Wraps are an easy swap for the Declaration in Stone. They're going to get rid of any of Todd's threats and not give him the clue.
Okay.
So that's an easy switch. A lot of these other cards, I don't think they're going to come in. I think what Kellen is doing lines up so well against Todd that he doesn't want to change his deck a lot.
I feel like the goal is kind of to stay streamlined.
Yeah.
And just try to win that way. And I think that's a pretty good goal to have based off of what we just saw in the last game. And also, both these players have access to each other's deck lists. So Kellen knows there's not going to be any radical changes from Todd here.
Yeah, and even with Todd bringing in a card like Kozilek's Return, some of Kellen's creatures can get to 3 toughness or 4 toughness, even though they only cost 1 or 2 mana, real fast.
Yeah, not very hard for those to do. So both players will sideboard shuffle up. Game number 2 will be underway here in just a moment. Todd Anderson will be on the play. In the meantime, we're going to talk about that Season 2 schedule on the SCG Tour, as we've got a lot of dates and a lot of things to discuss here. We'll start with the Columbus Invitational. That's next weekend, April 15th through the 17th. We'll crown a champion, send someone to the Pro Tour and to the Star City Games Players Championship. We'll also start, of course, with our Opens in Season 2, beginning on Saturday at the Columbus Invitational. After that, Milwaukee, then Indianapolis, then Atlanta. How about Orlando and Dallas? And then a couple of more shows where we're going to kick it over to Worcester, then Columbus, then Baltimore. Then our regional championships on August 6th. We'll have more information about that soon. Syracuse, August 13th through the 14th for some modern action, and then New Jersey for you and Patrick and everybody else from that place, OSIP and
beautiful New Jersey.
Yeah.
You mean beautiful New Jersey.
I do apologize. Beautiful, wonderful New Jersey, August 19th through the 21st. Now for Season 2 of the SCG Tour, we've got some awesome playmats to give you, so we changed the structure a little bit. So if you play in a standard opener classic, you're going to get Sigarda, Heron's Grace. If you do play in a modern opener classic, you're going to get Ghost Quarter, the Innistrad version. And then if you do play in a Legacy Opener Classic, you will get Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. Pretty simple stuff. You sign up for one of these things, you get them free and exclusive to the people who do sign up during Season 2. So we hope to see you during any and all of those dates. And I know we'll see at least one of these players during most of them. That is Todd Anderson. Hopefully we'll see a little bit more Kellen Pastore as well, because he's beginning to make a name for himself with this nice-looking Mono White Humans deck. But for Todd Anderson, this is number 28. We got to update the graphic.
Yep.
It says 26. It's actually 28. So he gets them just for – sometimes we just give him one.
Yeah, apparently there's just so many out there that we can't even keep track of all of them anymore.
Yeah, this is number 28 as far as SCG Tour Open Top 8s are concerned. 6 open wins, 3 invitational top 8s, 1 invitational win, runner-up at the 2015 Players Championship. And as you see there, married to the wonderful Callie Anderson, who is oftentimes on our stage, though she's not with us this weekend, probably just at home watching Todd, hoping he can come back here because I think he's in some trouble.
Do tell.
This matchup is rough.
Really? Because I picked Todd to win. Oh, no, I didn't.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah. You feel good? You feel powerful?
Well, right now, but that can turn that can turn on a dime, my friend.
Todd will be on the play here for game number 2 against Kellen Pastore in his very aggressive Mono White Humans deck. Again, one of the benefits of only playing 20 lands in your deck is you're likely to draw a lot more spells, and that's what we saw in that game.
Yep. He had 3 lands. He used all of the lands, cast lots of spells, killed his opponent very fast.
Yeah, Todd being able to do things like grind out value at stuff like Drown Yard Temple being discarded to Jace or Magnetic Insider stuff doesn't really come up much in this matchup.
Yeah, I don't expect that here.
No. I just think that if he's able to get a timely Kozilek return, maybe a Pyromancer's Goggles when he's under that much pressure, or a Chandra, maybe ahead of schedule because of Drown Yard Temple, that's what's going to lead to a win.
Sure. It sounds like he has passed the victory here, but they're so difficult for him.
Yeah.
A lot of these removal cards are one-for-ones where Kellen can just keep playing singleton cards as threats, and Todd doesn't have enough cards to keep up with him. And then some of the removal cards, like we said, Kozilek's Return, or even the Chandras might not be impactful enough to get enough of Kellen's creatures off the board.
Yeah, I do think it's a tough spot. I can say that. Now, there are certain hands that can come together for Todd to be able to get out of this one. For Kellen, the thing about his deck is it's just going to do the same thing every game.
Yes.
And it's either your deck cooperates for you and finds the right stuff to interact, or it doesn't. And as we saw in the first game, it did not.
Well, Todd does have the benefit of being on the play this game.
Very true.
Which is a big factor in a matchup that's this disjointed. One deck is so aggressive and the other deck isn't.
Yeah. Todd will take a look at his hand now. I believe both players have mulliganed once. And it looks like he's going to keep. We'll see how Kellen feels about his opening hand now that he's looking at 6 cards. They're going to keep. They're both going to scry. Todd to the bottom, Kellen to the top. Anderson with a Wandering Fumarole. We're underway here for game number 2. Pastore will draw. Oh, surprise, surprise, a 1-drop.
Getting onto the board early.
Yeah, with the Dragon Hunter, there's a Jace for Todd. Pastore will draw.
What?
Yeah, there we go. He'll give the beatdowns to outplay a Council's Lieutenant. A little bit confusing there, but it's all cleared up now.
Yeah, he was moving kind of fast and almost floated 2 and moved into his attack step. Moto gave him that little indicator, hey.
You've mana floating.
Yeah, are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, what are you doing?
And he said, no, I do not want to do this.
I'm out in there for Anderson. It's Jorien. And we're going to take a look at Jorien very quickly because this is not a card that we really discussed as maybe playing a role in this matchup. As there's a Thalia's Lieutenant, which is obviously very good, but Jorien being a 2/3 is actually pretty important, or at least it was. It's a little bit less important now, though it could trade with the Dragon Hunter.
Yeah, Todd had the option to loot there with Jace and discard a Madness Fiery Temper, but he wanted to get the Jorien onto the board thinking he's going to have to expend a lot of cards this game in order to fight through what Pastore is doing.
Now, here's a tough part for Todd. Yavimaya was the draw. His hand right now is Magnetic Insight, Yavimaya, Pyromancer's Goggles, and Fiery Temper. Now, Temper is the best of the bunch.
Yes.
Now, what you discard here, I mean, Goggles is really important for his deck, but I think he might have to let it go.
It is important, but it doesn't come down until turn 5, and even then it might not make an impact until turn 6, and he has to worry about turns 4 and 5 right now.
Magnetic Insight on screen, please. Back over to Anderson, we're going to go. You see Council's Lieutenant. It has been renowned. Now, Insight, you have to discard a land to cast it. So that's why Yavimaya is pretty important. Discard there, draw 2 here. Thing in the ice, Jace. Draw and discard. Discard Fiery Temper. Kill Council's Lieutenant. Draw another card because of Jorien. Now play a Mountain. Follow up with Thing in the Ice. Pass the turn back. That's a pretty good turn.
Yeah, if this is a game that Todd is going to win, this is how he's going to win it.
But what's Kellen's turn? That's the question. How does he punch back here? At this point, he's got a 3/2 Dragon Hunter. The Thing of the Ice can block, and then he's got a Thalia's Lieutenant that's not big enough to attack. He's going to start with Knight of the White Orchid. Not a bad start at all. Search up a land. Put a counter on Thalia's Lieutenant. Now it's a 2/2. There's a basic Plains. Follow up is a Kithian. Now Thalia's Lieutenant is a 3/3. Dragon Hunter will attack along with this, and Todd is going to very quickly trade his Jorien for the Dragon Hunter.
Yeah, that's interesting. He got the value out of it with an extra card in 1 turn. The next time, he had the opportunity to make that block the turn before. He was thinking he wants the extra cards. Turn later, he's thinking, I better trade right now.
Lightning Axe the draw. We'll see how Anderson wants to discard here. Again, it's weird because he's basically got to kill everything always, and that's not easy to do.
Well, fortunately, he does have some buffer with 12 life and 0-4 blocker, and he's lived into the mid-game here. So we might see Thing in the Ice flip pretty quick. Jace is flipping. It can flashback a removal spell or just shrink something's power. And Todd has another copy of Goggles in his hand.
You can see he's putting a premium on Goggles here and not Chandra because that's what he's discarded. Now here's Tormenting Voice, I think. We might see Jace instead. Of note, Todd is only working with 1 blue mana here. We'll see how that plays a role in things. We don't put a lot of attention on Kellen right now because, well, he's just going to play creatures and attack with them every turn. Anderson's going to have this go down to 3. Fiery Temper. Going to target Thayu's Lieutenant. Thing in the Ice goes down to 3 counters. Temper's gone for good. Is it time to maybe play Lightning Axe? Might want to kill Kithian, not sure. He's got a Jace to discard, but yep, all right. There goes Jace. Playing the Ice down to 2. Past the turn back, he's got a good job of keeping Kellen's board clear and his life total pretty high.
Yeah, he has the buffer, still at 12 life. He's got the flip Jace, he's got the Thing in the Ice at 2 counters. This is where he wants to be this game.
That's all he's watching. That's a block with Thing in the Ice. He's got to be thrilled to still have a Jace.
Yes, that was the turn he wanted.
Yep. Shivan Reef. It's time for the goggles. And now Anderson will pass the turn back. Keep in mind that Knight only has 1 power right now because of Jace's plus. Kellen will untap, and he will draw. Looks like he has at least 1 more land in hand.
Todd has put on the goggles.
Yes, he has.
Seeing red.
Kellen wants to take a look. I don't think he's going to like what he sees. It's pretty ugly if he gets to untap. Todd's got some nice cards in his graveyard here, too. A Plains. And always watching. Thayu's Lieutenant's going to put a counter here. That's an attack there. It's just it's a 3 power creature.
3 power creature, yeah. Todd's doing the math just to make sure.
Do a block, pass turn back. Anderson will draw. Tormenting Voice in hand. Picked up a copy of the Drownyard Temple. Pretty good card to discard to Tormenting Voice. So away they go. Anderson will draw not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 cards. A Mountain, a Jorian, a Tormenting Voice, and a Fall of the Titan.
That's a good one in there.
Yes, it is. This right now is the fear for Pastore, is he's got to get Anderson dead before this stuff happens.
Yes.
Because there's no coming back from this.
Yep.
Or there's basically no coming back.
Well, and we saw the Always Watching come down on the board when he only had 1 creature, which is not how he wants to be playing them.
Tormenting Voice here from Anderson. See what he wants to discard. Looks like Jorian's going to bite the dust. So Thing in the Ice is going to transform into the Awoken Horror. Bounce all those creatures on Kellen's side. Anderson will draw 2 cards. Jace is going up to 4, an attack for 7. Anderson will play a Wandering Fumarole, and now he is in the driver's seat to do some pretty absurd things with Power Master's Goggles and Fall of the Titans. It's a Knight of the White Orchid. It's a Thayu's Lieutenant, giving the Knight a counter. You see them shortcutting a little bit as Kellen's going to be able to search up a Plains here.
He's passing a few planes. I guess he's got one particular one that he really wants in this situation.
He found it. Todd will play Magmatic Insight. Going to discard a Shivan Reef. Draw 2 cards. You notice he didn't do that with the goggles because, well, he wants to use that for a little bit of spice here.
Yeah, the Fall of the Titans is going to clear out some blockers and deal a whole bunch of Kellen
Yes,
damage to Kellen. And then the Awoken Horror is going to come in to finish things off.
So with Pyromancer's Goggles, there's a lot of Fall of the Titan shenanigans happening here, and Todd Anderson is going to win game number 2 over Kellen Pastore as Blue-Red Control and Mono-White Humans get ready for a 3rd game. You feel a little nervous now?
4 fireballs. How do you feel about 4 fireballs?
Yeah, I'm pretty positive on 4 fireballs. I like 4 fireballs.
You know what? Kellen's back on the play.
I like that for Kellen a lot.
Yep, so...
Well, this is why seeding is so important. This is why you saw Eric Himmel play for seeding in the last round against Danny Jessup. Yeah, they could have drawn, but Eric said, I'm here to win the tournament. I want to be the #1 overall seed and play first all the time. If Kellen was on the draw for game number 3, this is a world of difference. I wouldn't be feeling good for Kellen if I was on the draw in game 3 against Todd's deck, but he's on the play. He can just knock Todd over before he gets to do any of the stuff he just did in the last game.
Sure.
And I think that's his game plan here. You see both players starting to shuffle up here pretty quickly because, truthfully, I don't think a lot's going to change.
Yeah.
And I don't think Kellen needs to get too creative with his sideboarding. You know, Secure the Waste, you think is pretty good against a control deck. Getting all that stuff, I don't think he needs any of it.
I don't think that's what he wants to be doing.
I think he just needs to keep it straightforward.
Yep.
Well, these players will shuffle up for game number 2. Quick update for you. Jim Davis did win game number 1 here over Eric Himmel. We'll likely be able to jump that way. So we'll see exactly what's going on in that match in just a moment. And as these players shuffle up very quickly, we will take a moment and talk about, let's go with our StarCityGames.com newsletter, where you can sign up for that for free because it is your source for Magic the Gathering news after all. You get the latest on the SCG Tour. Watch the SCG Tour match of the week, receive exclusive deck list and advice, catch up on all the event results, and read an exclusive cardboard crack comic. Go to StarCityGames.com/newsletter. Again, it's free to sign up for, so why wouldn't you?
And Week 1, new format. There's going to be a lot to be said in the new newsletter.
Just a touch, just a touch. And this has been a really fun tournament to watch.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of cool decks, a lot of things we did not expect. I think we knew Humans was going to be going in, but outside of that, didn't really know what else to expect.
Sure, the established paradigm, not doing so great. Green-red ramp, not a deck anymore.
Doesn't feel like it.
The mono-red or red-white Eldrazi decks, not a great showing this weekend.
Yeah.
Even Jace, just we're watching Jace do his thing here in each of our quarterfinals, semifinals, quarterfinals matches.
Yep.
But overall, Jace has not been the haymaker that he used to be.
It's not what it used to be. That's for sure. I mean, I can't imagine how Green Red Ramps fares against a deck like Mono White Humans. I just can't imagine them ever winning.
Yeah.
Just 3 1-drops on turn 2 by turn. 3 1-drops on by turn 2 on the play.
Yes.
They're casting, I don't know, Rune in the Wake, maybe?
Maybe, yes.
Maybe? No, thank you. Both these players are going to take a look at their opening hands. We'll see if they're able to keep them. Kellen Pastore, he's on your left. He's on the play here. This is exactly where he wants to be. Matchup's pretty good, but can't he find a hand that works? Looks like he's going to keep. Anderson is not. He'll mulligan to 6.
Little breathing room for me in my pick there. I don't like rooting against Todd. He's one of the best players out here.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to be right.
Yeah, I understand. You're being pulled a couple different directions here.
Sure.
No, I think it's a pretty good spot right now for Kellen. We're going to see what happens.
And I like seeing players that we don't see a lot come in with a well-tuned deck and do well.
Same.
It looks like Kellen has put some time in, and he's being rewarded for that.
I think that Kellen's deck is quite good. I really do. Anderson again on a mulligan. See if he can find something that he likes.
You're a big fan of the new Scry roll.
I love it. Who doesn't love it?
I think it's a great addition to the game.
Who doesn't love it? Anderson will keep. He'll take a look at the top. He's leaving it on top. We're underway. Wow.
That is not what we expected to see at all.
I didn't even know that was possible with Kellen's deck. All right, here's Council's Lieutenant. Drawing your temple. Thing in the ice. Pass a turn back.
And it looks like Todd has no red source right now, so.
There's a Silk Wrap. Council's Lieutenant will come across. It'll deal 3 to Anderson.
It's possible even with a slow start, Kellen is still going to be able to take this game.
Fiery Temper the draw. He does not have red mana, as you mentioned. There's Jace. Another draw on your temple. Pass the turn back. Pastore will draw. This is a Knight of the White Orchid.
Oh, it's so good for him.
Yeah, it really is.
It's possible he had a land last turn, and he just didn't make the land drop because he had the Knight of the White Orchid in his hand.
Take the freebie. And he did have a land. He plays it now.
Yep.
And that is a declaration. In stone, an attack for 3. As Anderson gets a clue, he'll fall down to 15. Time for Anderson to draw yet again. He needs red mana. Draw a card. Goggles, number 2, is not red mana. He'll sack a clue. Wandering Fumarole is really slow red mana, but it's red mana.
It wanders around a little bit before it makes its way onto the battlefield here.
Yes, it does.
Kind of painful for Todd.
Here come the beatdowns.
6 points.
Now for Anderson, it is huge for him to have a land right now. Let's see what this is going to be. More creatures.
It looks like the Hanweir Militia Captain.
It has come.
Which we haven't seen on the board yet this weekend.
All right, there's the mountain for Anderson because he's got a Goggles and he's got a axe to play. So he's got to catch up real quick. There's an axe. Discard a Goggles. Kill 2 creatures. It'll be those 2.
Oof. This is going to be close.
Yes, it is. Kellen's got to keep playing stuff. That's all he can do. Let's see what this is going to be. Knight of the White Orchid. Search it up. If you're Anderson, you are begging for Kozilek's return right now. Copied Kozilek's return?
Yeah, but doubled up Kozilek's return would be huge.
Yep. Chandra wouldn't be bad either.
Chandra's a good one.
Yep.
Fall of the Titans is a good one.
That'd be good too.
He's got a lot of great cards that he could draw.
What do we got here? Thraben Inspector, Thalia's Lieutenants.
Ooh.
Oh, Kozak's Return is colorless. Never mind. That's not going to copy.
Oh, you can't copy it off of the
No.
goggles. Yep.
It's devoid. I take it back. All right, Chandra it is. Nope. Shivan Reef. Anything he can do to stay alive? That's the question. Now it's time to do math. Now, Fiery Temper can kill 2 things.
Yep.
He's got to kill a lot more than 2 things, though.
Jace can jump in front of something. But all of these threats are a big problem.
Yep. And there's no real bluffing to be done here.
Yeah.
Kellen's attacking with everything.
Yep.
That's just how that goes. Now Todd's trying to figure out what can I do to stay alive. Is there anything I can do to stay alive? He'll play a Shivan Reef. He'll pass. The best he can do is just try to bluff something.
Yep.
That's all he can do. Kellen's going to sacrifice his Clue, draw a card, picked up a Plains. Sometimes all it takes is relentless aggression.
Well, he's wondering if there's reason not to attack with all of his creatures.
Well, Todd's trying. The only way that Todd can actually win is get him to overthink.
Yes.
That's it. If Kellen just turns everything sideways, he wins the game. And this is the situation where you start to overthink a little bit as a player. And he says, I'm going to attack with every single creature. And that is going to do it. Kellen Pastore is going to win this match here over Todd Anderson. 2-1. Mono White Humans will take care of blue-red control. And for Kellen Pastore, he is moving on to the finals to play against the winner of Eric Himmel and Jim Davis. Congratulations to him.